What's up everyone? Alex here. These days, JRPGs come in all shapes and sizes. With Voice of Cards, Yoko Taro tried to capture the simplicity of classic JRPGs from the 8-bit and 16-bit eras by standardizing its presentation and wrapping it with a compelling story blended with some tried-and-true turn-based combat. With the Forsaken Maiden, Yoko Taro charts a new course that not only introduces alterations to its predecessor's more rigid structure, but also expands upon it in such a way that continues to make Voice of Cards one of the most underappreciated gems in modern JRPGs. This review was made possible by viewers like you, so please leave a like, post a comment, then subscribe to the channel. Voice of Cards, The Forsaken Maiden, is a medieval fantasy-themed turn-based JRPG featuring a tabletop presentation and an original story separate from last year's The Isle Dragon Roars, created by Yoko Taro, developed by Alim, and published by Square Enix, who provided this PS4 review code. The Isle of Omega is destined for destruction, and it's up to the island's maiden to stop this from happening. Except its inhabitants are strangely ready and willing to accept their doom. Joined by a mysterious woman named Laddie, who's lost her ability to speak, you set forth on a quest to prevent this end of days from happening, while discovering more about her past than you bargained for. Throughout this review, I will be referring to Voice of Cards, the series, and The Forsaken Maiden, this game, alternately to address specific topics that either have overlap across the whole series or are specific to this game. In my review of The Isle Dragon Roars, I mentioned how each individual terrain card is reminiscent of pixel tiles in classic 8-bit era JRPGs, and The Forsaken Maiden continues this trend while adding lots of new terrain types. What's different between both games, however, is how much more perceived freedom you get in The Forsaken Maiden when it comes to exploring its world. While The Isle Dragon Roars featured a much more linear experience, The Forsaken Maiden forgoes this rigidity and gives you a boat to use very early on. And while certain story beats will still be locked behind whirlpools barring your entry, you can still spend a good chunk of time exploring the vast ocean in the game, discovering hidden treasures and partly sunken ships, as well as triggering random events that provide flavor to your own experience. These random events are some of my favorite things about Voice of Cards, and some will even help develop the characters in your party in surprising ways. Speaking of cards, a while ago, I ordered this awesome Voice of Cards metal card set featuring the heroes of The Isle Dragon Roars, which used to be a part of its exclusive physical release in Japan. I was trying to figure out how I could possibly transport these without accidentally scratching or damaging them. That's when I thought of the Ridge Wallet, who's sponsoring this review. One thing I love about the Ridge Wallet is that not only can it easily hold my Voice of Cards set, but also up to 12 cards and cash as well. I also love the design that I got, and after handling it even for a brief moment, I can immediately feel its sturdiness and durability, and it's got a lifetime warranty to protect it too. So spoil yourself today and head on over to the link shown or use the coupon code BACKLOGBATTLE to get 15% off on your purchase of your first or next order of the Ridge Wallet. Talking about the Ridge Wallet's pragmatic design reminds me of how Yoko Taro's own measured pragmatism came into play with the development of Voice of Cards. While Yoko Taro's games don't share the same fidelity and visual detail as higher-profile Square Enix titles, his games do depict a sense of restraint that ultimately creates a well-rounded game. Given how much Voice of Cards was originally going to be a mobile game, I think it's safe to assume that much of the development of The Forsaken Maiden and its predecessor, The Isle Dragon Roars, took advantage of the rigors of making games on said platform to deliver both titles in such a short time frame, forcing the developers at Alim to build on top of existing foundations, thereby continuously evolving the player experience despite its simple beginnings. While it is true that The Forsaken Maiden presents its world and story through the medium of tabletop, this title in particular bends that definition multiple times by altering your perception of what you're seeing in front of you through the clever use of animation and color grading. I'll leave that for you to discover yourself, of course. This is all to say that while it's very easy to overlook Voice of Cards given its presentation, there's so much more to it underneath that's worth experiencing. I've also come to appreciate the series not only because of how well it tells its story through its gameplay, but also the incredible feat of engineering and creativity that would have taken to deliver 2 amazing games within the mere span of 4 months. Keep in mind that I'm not saying that they started and finished making another game within those 4 months, but rather, I want to recognize the sheer amount of planning involved behind the scenes to be able to deliver a follow-up to another game after a short span of time. Being designed initially as a mobile game also comes with incredible advantages from a gameplay standpoint. Mobile games are typically designed to allow players to get in and out of itself quickly, and this kind of flexibility just can't be found in many modern JRPGs. Voice of Cards allows you to save anywhere at any time, even in dungeons, which helps tremendously if you're playing multiple games at once. While I was trying to play through the Forsaken Maiden for this review, I was also playing through 3 different games. And whenever I felt the need to break away from those other games and wanted to play a JRPG, I started up the Forsaken Maiden, knowing that I can spend as much, or as little, time with it as I want. The feeling of being able to do this with Voice of Cards is both refreshing and relaxing, which is a stark contrast to the other, more demanding JRPG experiences out there. This obsession with flexibility is also why I believe that Voice of Cards' gameplay depth was designed to be purposely shallow, which is actually a huge blessing. One of the biggest reasons why many of us try to trudge through lengthy JRPGs, regardless of whether we're still enjoying it or not, is because of the fear of forgetting how its various gameplay systems function and coalesce together. And there's plenty of JRPGs out there that even try to teach you new mechanics after dozens of hours in. Voice of Cards opts for a simple system that not only has you acquiring better weapons and armor in your party per usual, but also limits the amount of skills you can have at one time. This design by subtraction allows Voice of Cards to design encounters that make careful consideration of what you're bringing to the table, as well as what kind of hurdles they can hurl at you, managing to design an experience that features a good, moderate difficulty that players can get past without having to grind for hours. While many have complained about Voice of Cards' frequent battle encounters, I should point out that many of the dungeons featured are relatively small. In addition to this, Voice of Cards also features the ability to instantly skip traveling from one location to another, provided you've already explored your specific destination or you're not limited by certain circumstances. This is yet another way that these games allow you to experience JRPGs that lets you engage with it of your own choosing. If you want to grind, you can hop onto every individual terrain card as you traverse up and down dungeon floors. If not, just use the right analog stick to highlight the staircase card you've already uncovered and move onward. And of course, there's its length. Voice of Cards: The Forsaken Maiden spans an adventure that'll take you 20 to 30 hours to finish, depending on how meticulous you want to be when exploring its world, bringing it in line with its predecessor. I do find it refreshing that the games in the Voice of Cards series end at a pretty decent length, while still delivering a satisfying gameplay and narrative experience that represents much of Yoko Taro's vibe and aesthetic. Much like the Isle Dragon Roars, The Forsaken Maiden features songs from Monica, Keiichi Okabe's musical group. My admiration for the compositions found within The Forsaken Maiden has one pretty big caveat. I like its soundtrack separate from the game itself. The Forsaken Maiden's OST features lots of really chill and calming songs when compared to the Isle Dragon Roars, whose soundtrack had a really good balance of songs that carried different motifs. Add to that the absence of any real battle music save for boss battles, and you're often exploring dungeons and locales to songs that might put you to sleep. In fact, that happened to me while exploring its dungeons. Here's a clip of the song you'll have to listen to while exploring said dungeons. While much has already been said about its presentation and how its mobile development roots have affected its various designs, I have to stress that the Forsaken Maiden features Yoko Taro's signature narrative design. Instead of focusing more on the moment-to-moment events of what's happening, the Forsaken Maiden takes you on a journey that will take you on a roller coaster ride of emotions. Just when you thought that you knew something was going to happen, the story takes a completely different turn. But it's so much more than that too. Given how much of the game is spent trying to remind Laddie of who she once was, you can't help but feel closer to her every moment she regains something back. This buildup of empathy currency pays off immensely once you hit the final moments of the game, showing the strength of its narrative. All in all, Voice of Cards The Forsaken Maiden is a worthy follow-up to The Isle Dragon Roars, as well as a fantastic standalone JRPG that anyone can play. And when I say anyone, I really do mean it. Whether this is your first foray into the genre, used as an in-between other lengthier titles, or its own thing altogether, The Forsaken Maiden will cast you off on a satisfying adventure that lets you take things at your own pace. It's all things refreshing, rewarding, and at times heartbreaking, all of the elements that make this experience uniquely Yoko Taro's. But now, I want to hear what you think of the game. What do you think of the Voice of Cards series? Will you be playing this game in between others like I did? And if you play this game further down the line and have played the whole game in its entirety, what do you think? Post your thoughts in the comments below and let's talk about it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.